Well, what do we have here? Satan, how's it going, man? You'd think this guy knows what to do to get sinners to go down to hell, but this ain't the real world, bud. Welcome to the channel. This video series is dedicated to the analysis, study, and learning of the lore of the Deadly Seven, the most influential demons in the universe of Hazbin Hotel and Helluva. Previously on this series, we talked about Asmodeus, Lucifer, and Beelzebub, which resulted in a temporary meltdown of our writer's cognitive processing abilities, but he's back to normal now. We think anyways. So, Satan. You may be familiar with the name. Maybe you know about this fellow because you've read a book called the Bible once when you were really bored. By the lore of the world we exist in, Satan and Lucifer are one and the same. Lucifer used to be a mighty angel up in heaven who fell down to hell by being cast down by God because of his unbridled arrogance. Once down there, the Big G himself declared that he wouldn't be known any longer as Lucifer, but rather he would become Satan, the father of lies. That is the real world lore, but what about the Helluva stuff that we're all here for? Well, hit that subscribe button, then smack the real subscribe button, and make sure to like this video because this video is going to be filled to the brim with good info. Satan, where to even begin? No, seriously, where should we start? There's tons of literature out there that talks about this big bad mofo, but the stuff we need to focus on is deep down. The more famous artwork in our world that depicts a very clear image of what Satan should have been considered to be. You heard that right. I'm talking about Milton's Paradise Lost. This book is a fan fiction of sorts, a retelling of the book of Genesis in the Bible, and in essence it talks about the time Adam and Eve lived in the Garden of Eden before old Satan came along and convinced them to take a bite out of that fruit. Before even that, though, Milton spent a long while talking about what it was like to be in heaven, the result of Lucifer's fall, and what it was like for all those angels to wake up in hell and find themselves turned into, well, demons and devils. Satan wasn't too happy about it, of course, but here we go again confusing the two together. Again, Lucifer isn't Satan in Helluva. This is just real-world stuff. You know, the boring bits. For Helluva, we've got some clear-cut lore, though. We've seen 7 episodes of the series already on YouTube, with part 2 of the finale coming out sometime in the near future. Hopefully. Vivz and Co, if you guys see this, feel free to take as long as you need. You can't rush perfection, and nor should you feel pressured to do so. Satan is the demon of wrath, one of the Deadly Seven, and thus a very influential and powerful entity in the hellish courts of the show. To refresh y'all, we'll briefly go over the details presented in previous videos as well as future ones. Lucifer is the demon of pride, Asmodeus is the demon of lust, Beelzebub is the demon of gluttony, Belphegor is the demon of sloth, Satan is in charge of wrath, Leviathan is in charge of envy, and Mammon is taking care of greed. Whew, that took a lot of work. So far we've talked about Asmodeus, Beelzebub, and Lucifer, but we're working on getting a video done for each of the Deadly Seven. We'll also be doing more in-depth, longer videos on each of them if the series performs well enough, as these current uploads aren't anywhere near long enough to get a decent amount of information in for you beautiful students of the occult. So then, Satan is in charge of wrath, which is the ring of, well, wrath. Clever viewers may recognize this as the ring where Millie is from, since her family is dedicated entirely to the wrangling of hell cattle and gathering of food to be blessed by Stolas and the Harvest Moon Festival. In the first episode, or rather the pilot, we also see a homeless imp begging for alms with a sign that reads Satan Bless on it. Odd considering how blessing someone is the opposite of what takes place in hell, but hey, different cultures, so we're not going to judge. Satan is thusly someone in control of a full ring for himself, which is to be expected considering each of the Deadly Seven has their own realm of dominion and authority. Lucifer reigns over pride, Asmodeus over lust, and Leviathan, we can guess this one because of hints and tidbits in the episodes throughout Season 1, rules over the ring of envy, which, hint hint, has an ocean. We learn this in episode 3, Spring Broken, when Blitz comments that he was surprised he could smell fish considering the nearest ocean was 3 rings down, aka water, aka the ocean, in hell, aka Leviathan. You don't suppose the imps and devils that live there are all locked in eternal wars over who has the nicest beach house, do you? I'm just gonna write that video idea down. But what does Satan even look like? We've got drawings of Lucifer and Asmodeus, and we've even got some demonology books here on Earth that teach us about the aspect of Beelzebub, but to find out what Satan looks like, we need to go into the far past. Cloven hooves, goat eyes, ram horns, chin, beard, arrow tail, red skin, you guessed it, it's Satan. Satan has got to be the most depicted demon figure in all of demonology, mainly because, well, he's just that popular. In the medieval time known to us as the Middle Ages, there was a sudden rush of fanaticism during a period known as the Witch Scares, circa 1430 AD, where people went ballistic accusing each other of witchcraft, heresy, and doing such evil things as flying on brooms and communing naked at midnight around a cauldron, which to me just sounds like my days back at the Druid Lodge. Good times. Anyways, the idea of a red-skinned devil with goat horns, an overall goat vibe, and a big pitchfork was meant to scare the medieval peasantry because, well, they believed in things like virtuous magic. It's true! In the year 1274, there were two medieval knights that were meant to be holding a duel. Before doing so, they agreed that neither would use any dishonorable equipment that would give them any advantage over the other. The duel took place, and predictably the loser went to the king and complained about it because apparently his opponent had used not one, not two, but 3 magical artifacts. A sword that had been blessed so that its wielder would never be defeated in war, a shirt that would prevent the wearer from being beaten in battle, and a diamond in a box that was said to prevent the owner from having his bones broken. This was the 13th century! You'd at least hope that someone back then would stop believing in magic and start trusting in religion. I'm sorry. Religion? Good one, writers. Anyways, back to the devil. It is a common oath by Moxie and Millie to invoke the name of Satan when one would, on our world anyway, invoke the name of God. Instead of saying, "What in God's name?" people in the Wrath Ring say, "What in Satan's name?" And you get the idea. So, aside from being red, spooky, and ruling over the largest ring, allegedly, what does Satan do? Well, apparently Satan is in charge of food, and yes, you guessed it, we're going back to the food deal, because seriously, what the hell is going on there? Why do these immortal creatures that live in hell, of all places, need food to eat? What does Satan, patron devil of wrath, the sin that makes people do stupid stuff out of sheer, unbridled rage, have to do with agriculture? So I have an idea. Gentle viewer, gather close and listen, for what I'm going to say isn't canon until it is, and at best we'll never know for sure. Satan is the first success of the Hazbin Hotel idea. Hear me out. We all know that the concept of reforming a sinner is as laughable as the thought of a moan donating to charity, but that's the thing. Picture a farmer, pitchfork in hand, ready to toss up the hay so that the stables are cleaned, his animals can eat, and the works around the farm can be done. That's what the pitchfork was originally used for, after all. And it is also a good analogy because farmers can't afford to get angry easily. You need to be on top of things constantly. Animals can't be sick or injured, so you're going to need to be able to administer healing if need be. Otherwise, you'll lose out on potential food and profits if my idea is true. So over the centuries or even thousands of years, Satan went from angry demon to a calm, collected farmer that taught his imps the art of agriculture, irrigation, and cattle wrangling. That does not mean that he is never angry anymore. I think Satan is going to be portrayed as the calm, assured farmer man with a straw hat, the cowboy getup, a pitchfork in hand, the usual tail most imps have, cloven hooves, and an almost unreal aura of peace. But the instant someone blitzo does anything to piss him off and succeeds in getting the big man to lose it, there will be hell to pay, and no amount of protection from stolas can keep Blitz safe. Then again, will stolas even want to help Blitz? Things are still looking good for a season finale where Stolas either turns into the most powerful ex Blitz has ever had, or he dies because Stryker finally manages to get his contract done and takes the Goetian prince out as Stella wishes so dearly. Perhaps there will be a situation where Octavia is in danger of getting hurt by Stryker and Stolas decides to sacrifice himself, leading to his death, and knowing Vivziepop's genius, it might turn out to result in Blitz getting logged on with the crime of taking out a prince. Not like on a date, but you guys know what I mean. Anyways, what was I talking about? Yes, Satan. So the big red devil himself is in charge of the Wrath Ring, which has got to be a massive ring considering the fact that it needs to provide food to not only all of its inhabitants, but it also needs to provide food for, well, the rest of hell. Sure, we can say that the Ring of Envy would also get that going due to fishing or whatever, but deep down it's all about consistent food. Fishing requires the fish being able to reproduce, and considering that imps and such need to have babies, it's safe to bet that Satan's ring is the one that has a more steady supply of veggies and meat. As a matter of fact, in episode 2, Lululand, Stolas is seen chucking a large steak covered in zebra stripes at the carnivorous plant in his kitchen. Odds are good that that hunk of meat came from somewhere like the Wrath Ring, or even from a farmer such as Ma and Pa. Because the idea of money is the embodiment of greed, Mammon will certainly want to get some of that going as well, which implies commerce, trade, and you guessed it, a lot of food. Food is where the money is at in hell after all. Let's take a trip down memory lane before the end of the video. Hazbin Hotel pilot. Opening song. What are the imps doing to the remains of the demons, devils, and sinners that died due to overpopulation? That's right, they're eating them, oh god. Allowed with the cart that is carrying off the remains is a butcher, so you can bet your petite derrières that cannibalism is not only accepted, but encouraged. If you thought this video was at least moderately entertaining and or funny, beat that subscribe button like it owes you money, and then smack the bell icon for looking at you funny, and of course, leave a comment. Is there anything else we should talk about? Let us know, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Deadly 7 series, Episode 5, Belphegor.